We live in a time where, despite many people hating their jobs, feeling discontent, looking to check out, job hopping has become demonized. People are pushing back on this idea of job hopping being a successful strategy. And I think it's being done in a way that is somewhat manipulative or maybe misunderstood even. I think traditionally companies have always pushed back on this idea of job hopping because, of course, they want you to be loyal. Whether they are or not, that's a different story, but they want you to be loyal. And I think now you've had other people hop on this bandwagon, whether it's news organizations, influencers. I've seen a lot of videos about job hopping is dead and things of that nature, but I'm not entirely sure that I agree with that. And I think it's bringing up a question of, is job hopping a red flag, or is it just smart strategy that we should all be using? Typically, when you talk about job hopping, what people really mean is simply changing jobs every 1 to 3 years. So frequent job changes, and these would be job changes that are voluntary, not terminations and finding a new job, but people choosing to leave their current job for a new job in a relatively short period of time. In years past, this would have clearly been frowned upon. People were proud of their loyalty. Companies rewarded loyalty, and it was just seen as a bad thing on your resume if you had a lot of jobs. Times have since changed, and job hopping has become a strategy that many people use. And I think it was even amplified when COVID came along, with people changing jobs even more frequently than they may have in recent years. Now, is there a shift back the other way? Is job hopping now becoming less acceptable, or is something else going on? One thing that we do know from studies is that people who change jobs more frequently statistically do make more money than those who stay in one job long term. We also know that people are more and more unhappy with their jobs and less satisfied. And if those two things are true, why is there this shift back towards loyalty, back towards avoiding job hopping? And to be quite honest with you, I don't actually think it's real. I don't really think there is a shift back. I think there's something else going on. And I want to talk about job hopping and why I still think it's actually a good idea and what I think is happening nowadays. It's probably best if we start with why people think job hopping is a good idea in the first place. The number one reason that job hopping is usually good is market related. At the end of the day, the markets move much faster than your pay does. So a market rate will go up, the job market will go up, job pricings go up, and they often go up by a percent that's higher than what your annual cost of living or merit increase is. So the idea is that you may stay at a company for 5 years, you go up a small percentage every year, eventually ending up maybe 10% higher than where you were. Whereas they are going to hire in someone new 15% higher than where you were because the market has outpaced your increases. So technically speaking, the longer you stay in a job without getting good increases, the more behind market you end up being. The other logical reason why people choose to job hop is simply that why should they show loyalty when companies don't show loyalty? Part of the reason why people were more loyal back in the day is they had pension programs, better retirement plans. Companies rewarded seniority, whereas today people feel more like commodities than they do valued employees. And so they're showing back the level of loyalty they feel that their companies are showing. And those are the two major reasons why you see this uptick in job hopping in recent years. So I think the question now is this new narrative about job hopping and the supposed character flaws, is it real or not? People and companies will say you're flaky, that you're disloyal, that you're selfish or self-centered in your approach to changing jobs so frequently. But are you really? And I think the answer to that is no. I actually think a lot of this is manipulative. I think that news organizations and companies have pushed this narrative that job hopping doesn't work. I think you're seeing studies now that show job hopping doesn't work, but I think what's actually happening is that people are job hopping just because they hate their jobs. They're not job hopping for better opportunities, and so the stats get skewed in one direction. That being that you don't get a big increase when you change jobs. Well, of course that's true if you're changing jobs to lower paying jobs, which is what's happening to a lot of people who are changing jobs out of frustration. So I would submit that if you're changing jobs in a way that's intelligent and thoughtful, you will still receive the benefits of job hopping. Forward growth and professionalism are great things. And job hopping doesn't eliminate either of those. You can job hop to better opportunities, more advancement, more money, and you can remain a professional when you do it. You don't have to burn all the bridges every time you job hop, and in fact, you shouldn't. So there shouldn't be any inherent negative in it, assuming you're doing it the right way. And not only that, but loyalty is great. I would agree with that. Everybody wants loyal people in their lives, but not blind loyalty to something that isn't loyal back to you. But I don't want to leave it there. Job hopping isn't always the answer. In fact, a lot of times it can be negative. We need direction when we job hop. We can't just leave our job for just any job, hoping that the grass is greener on the other side. We need to have the proper planning so that we can ensure we have the skills and the experience necessary to jump from our current situation to a better job, not just another job. And we need to make sure that our character and our reputation stay intact. We can't leave one job burning all our bridges, ruining all of the references that we might have had, and ultimately putting ourselves in a situation where we're never able to come back, or we're never able to work with the people that we work with now in the future. There is a right way to job hop, and that is to leave with purpose. Leave intentionally. Be clear and understandable in why you're leaving. Be able to articulate your reasons in job interviews, and be strategic. Don't leave for a situation that's the same as what you're in. Try to advance yourself. Even if there's nothing different immediately, are there opportunities ahead of you in the new job that aren't there in the current job? And be able to explain that to people so that people understand, oh, yes, they're hopping jobs, but there's good reason for it. And lastly, just for a personal note for everybody, there is no character flaw in job hopping. It's not sinful behavior to change jobs. It's not some horrible, grievous thing against your company. Your company could lay you off at any time. So it's not this horrible thing to job hop. It is a strategic thing that anybody can do, that some people should do. And some of you, maybe you're not in a position where you should do it now, but maybe one day you will be. At the end of the day, we're all called to something. We all have a purpose and a calling in life. And while we may not know what that is, and that may be one of the hardest things to ever figure out, you can rest assured it isn't just to sit stagnant in something that you hate. It isn't to just grind it out in something where you're miserable or frustrated. There has to be more to life than just writing it out of fear that you'll be perceived a certain way if you take a certain action. Do things the right way, and things will work out the right way. Maybe not always immediately. It may take time. It may take a little faith, trusting that the process will work. But don't forego an opportunity out of some misguided fear that you'll be perceived a certain way because a bunch of news organizations and companies have told you that now it's frowned upon. wanting more for yourself is not a bad thing, assuming we approach it the right way. I hope this video helped you. And if it did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.